looks good, man. Dude. Are we in slow motion, too?
Welcome to Talk Birdie To Me. This is Australia's most popular golf podcast, with former world number 16 Nick O'Hearn, the only player to beat Tiger Woods twice in match play, and tour pro Mark Allen, who played professional golf around the world for 15 years, including a British Open. We're coming from our studio at Titleist and FootJoy headquarters. Titleist is the #1 ball in golf, and FootJoy is the #1 shoe and glove in golf. And thanks to our great partners, Watch My Numbers, the most powerful database golf app in the world. Download from the App Store or Google Play. Ping, as with Nick O'Hearn, will help you play your best. See your local golf shop or professional for a Ping club fitting. The Golf Clearance Outlet beat everyone's prices. Visit golfclearanceoutlet.com.au for your nearest store. And Better, the fastest and easiest betting app in Australia. Now that's better. Now, from our studio at Titleist and FootJoy headquarters, it's time for Talk Birdie To Me. Here's Nick O'Hearn and Mark Allen.
Well, if you're anything like me and have been following a kid called Carl Vilips for a long, long time, it was gripping TV. Nick O'Hearn, nice to see you, bud.
Good to see you too, Mark. I know you were following it very closely.
Yeah, I was. It's amazing, you know, the Australian golf community and a lot of the Talk Birdie To Me members too, they alert you to things, which is great. And of course, when Carl Vilips had the overnight lead in his fourth PGA Tour event, my social media went crazy because I think a lot of kids remember, a lot of people in this country remember Carl Vilips as a 7-year-old winning the World Under-7 Championship, if you can believe there is such a thing.
Wow.
Under-7s. So a 6-year-old. I mean...
That's starting them young,
That
isn't
is
it?
starting them young. But
Gosh.
it's one thing, you know, if the World Under-7 Championship is in your backyard in San Diego.
Yeah, where was it, by the way?
San Diego.
Oh, San Diego.
Somewhere in California. It is a whole different thing if your 7-year-old's in Melbourne and you're going to send him over there. So, you know, one thing to get in the plane, take his little clubs, and you could have probably put his little clubs in the overhead baggage on the way over there. Just as a carry-on. But to get all over there and to actually win the thing was quite remarkable. So he's been on the radar for a long, long time. Great story too. Should we just go through the story if people don't know? A prodigy as a young lad. I think at 11 years old, there was a lot of YouTube. He had a YouTube channel called Koala Carl or something like that.
Really? Okay.
And he was playing pennant for Commonwealth at 11 years old. Oh. Just outrageous.
I remember you telling me, you said you had a little bit to do with him and his dad. Is that right?
Oh, only interviewing them.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I interviewed his dad, and I don't think I really interviewed Carl. It was always his dad. Now,
was he one of those fathers or parents of a sporting prodigy, I guess, that is...
Yeah, he pushed.
He pushed hard?
He pushed.
Okay.
Yeah,
just
absolutely
curious.
he pushed. And you know, so did Tiger's dad. So
sure.
Well, what do you do? I mean, if that's the case. He had a program set out in his mind. Now, what did happen was that Carl's dad, there was a perception that he wasn't getting enough help now from Golf Australia. Okay. There was a perception. Now, when I was talking to Carl's dad, I thought that perception was incorrect. I thought he was a 12-year-old. And, you know, Golf Australia aren't going to empty their pockets for a 12-year-old. But I think what was happening, and this is just my best guess, is that in America there is an underage circuit that we do not have. And
Is that the AJGF? I think something like that. American Junior Golf Foundation, maybe?
My perception was always that Carl's dad wanted Golf Australia to help with all those expenses, getting him across to America for the under-10s, the under-11s, and the under-12s, and the under-14s. But I don't think that's Golf Australia's job, personally. I never did. So I told him that I don't think that's his job, Golf Australia. Now, he thought it was. So in the end, he took him out of Australia, sent him to high school golf, where he performed very well and got himself a scholarship to Stanford, which is where Tiger Woods went to college. And the rest is history. He had a great career at Stanford. He only missed the Ludwig Aubert exemption onto the PGA Tour by a handful, something like that. So
it wasn't much.
It wasn't much.
He did get status, what was it, Corn Ferry, and then he got his card through Corn Ferry.
And you believe now, because I was watching the tournament, he only played 10 tournaments on the Corn Ferry Tour and won the Rookie of the Year.
Crazy.
And got his
card.
semi-conditional card.
Ridiculous.
And what's this, his third start on the tour this season?
It's his fourth start. So he'd played 3 beforehand.
Right, okay.
And he had the lead, the 54-hole lead.
I saw that.
In just his fourth start on the PGA Tour. Now, it was a secondary event because the Arnold Palmer was on. We're going to talk about the Arnold Palmer pretty soon. But, you know, it was interesting hearing him talk because a bit like Yelena, when Yelena talks about her career, when you see, I'm not sure whether you saw the special that Channel 9 did.
I haven't seen it yet.
It was brilliant.
Okay.
And your mate, Todd Woodbridge, was in it.
Wow.
If you haven't seen the Helena story, it was great. But Helena would always pair up her and her dad before things got crazy. Dad and I. It was interesting to hear Carl afterwards say, Dad and I, we've dreamt about this for a long, long time.
Well, the program's worked.
The program has worked.
Incredible.
So, you know, it was ill-conceived in my view at the start. I still think it was ill-conceived. But he has done the yards and now he's a PGA Tour winner.
It's scary, isn't it? Well, a couple of things from what I noticed in that final round, which probably were the most impressive, was he's leading going into the final day, and he shoots an 8 under 64 to win by 3. But he also gave the lead up. I think you texted me at the time saying, he's just bogeyed 12.
Actually, Dan, could you put his last round scorecard up, please?
Yeah, that'd be good. He's just bogeyed 12, and then he came back with 3 birdies in a row just to blow everyone away, basically, and then topped it all off with a birdie on the final hole, which was a great shot in. So very, very impressive. My only concern, and it's just, one of those things that I see when I watch players, he does stand over the ball a long time, but it does work for him.
Well, I noticed something about this as well. He's a non-waggler.
Yes.
No waggle.
Bit in the Adam Scott mould.
Yes. Now, I know it's your top 5 this week, but if it was my top 5, I would have gone the top 5 non-wagglers in the history of golf.
No, I haven't gone that way.
And my favourite is Seve Ballesteros. Seve Ballesteros was a non-waggler.
He was, yeah.
He was a foot tapper. He would just tap his feet, and when he looked up, he just moved his head. He didn't. He never, used his whole body.
Didn't lift the club off the ground.
Put the camera on me, Dan. He never took he never looked up like that. He would just tap his feet and do the head. Tap his feet, do the head. It was so beautiful, Seve Ballesteros. Now, Carl Vilips, again, is a complete non-waggler. Now, what's significant is that there was a kid called Rasmus. Now, I'm not sure what his name. We'll probably hear about
Rasmus Nygaard Pedersen.
That's him.
Yeah, the Dane.
He was playing in his first US Tour event, and he birdied 3 on the front 9, and then on the back 9, birdied 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, and 15, 6 in a row.
Incredible.
To go 9 under par and to edge ahead. And that's when Carl Vilips made the bogey, and then, of course, the rest is history. Birdie. Played his last, 6 holes, 4 under par.
4 under.
I mean, they had his coach on, the coach from Stanford. The coach from Stanford didn't blink. He said, watch what happens, basically.
Really?
Words to the effect of,
wow.
Watch what happens. He'll be right.
He'll be okay.
The moment he's here and he will rise to the occasion was basically what his Stanford golf coach said.
Wow. But his current coach is Cole Swatton, is that right?
Yes.
Which is Jason Day's old coach, and now Jason's gone back to him as well.
That's right. So Jason Day, that's exactly right.
Right.
Look, I'm going to talk about Jason Day soon.
Yep.
There was another player in the field too called Van Veek. His name's Kieran Van Veek. Now, I want you to put up, Dan, if you could, on the big screen, Carl Vilips' swing. Now, that's Van Veek. We'll get to Carl Vilips. Watch this golf swing, Nick. Watch it. I think I've got it in slow-mo.
Okay.
Okay, so he's a non-waggler. He hasn't waggled at all. Now, short, points way out to the right. You know what he's got?
A little bit of
Yeah, go on.
little bit of Sergio in it.
A little bit of Sergio. It's also a little bit of Rambo,
Yes.
John Rahm.
Yeah, John Rahm.
Now, this is the kid. Okay, now this is the amateur kid. Now, he got into this tournament as well.
Who's this guy?
His name is Kieran Van Veek.
Okay, right.
So he's an amateur. Have a look at this swing. It's the same swing.
That is a John Rahm swing.
It's a John Rahm
Yeah.
swing.
So for our listener who's not watching on YouTube, it's incredibly short, only just gets past halfway,
Yeah.
like John Rahm as we know.
Yes.
But he's not built like John Rahm.
No,
So he's got to have the fastest hips you've ever seen. And from what I just saw on that, my goodness.
Yeah. Well, is this the new modern swing that we're seeing?
Maybe.
I mean, John Rahm swings that way. Sergio was probably the first one who swung it that way. Now, even though they've got short arm swings, their shoulder turn,
Full turn.
is enormous on both those players, both on Van Veek and on Carl Vilips. So, again, that's where the horsepower is in your golf swing, folks. If you want to try and hit the ball further, if you've got a small shoulder turn, then you're pushing the proverbial uphill.
So how long has Carl Vilips been seeing Cole Swatton?
I don't know.
Okay, right.
I don't know.
Where did you hear that? Was that on the coverage?
Just on the coverage.
Okay.
Oh, I had no idea until that came up on the coverage. Now, I do know that Carl lives in the Florida area where Sawgrass is.
Okay.
Because he was saying that he's going to be sleeping in his own bed this week.
Nice.
Which is great. So because he had a win, he got in the players.
He gets into the players. And by the way, again, do you
Double
like the
shot.
view? We have a nice view behind us for people watching on YouTube. The 17th at Sawgrass. It's obviously an iconic hole, and
I want to talk to you about Sawgrass.
we need to talk about that
a little
shortly.
bit
So
later.
we'll go into that later.
I'm excited about it. Hey, so Carl, he gets into the Players' Championship, which is this week. He also gets into the US PGA. So didn't get into the US Open, doesn't get into the British Open.
No Masters.
No Masters.
Because it's an opposite field event.
It's an opposite field event. That is correct.
Yeah.
But incredibly exciting for Australians.
Yeah.
And for so many Australians, if you're just a club golfer and haven't followed it closely, this kid has been on the radar since he was 7. So what's that? 15 years, something like that.
Yeah, what is he, 23,
Yeah.
I'd say?
Yeah.
Probably 23 years old. So, yeah.
What do you think of the non-wagglers?
I'm not a fan myself. I've always been a waggler, a mover, a shaker, as they say.
you were.
I dance all over the place when I'm over the ball just because I like to feel athletic.
Yeah.
For me, that doesn't feel athletic, and I find my rhythm suffers because my last look, especially at the target, back to the ball, I have to start straight away, whereas if I'm standing over the ball for a while, it just doesn't work for me. And I find probably for 95% of the golfers it doesn't work either. However, there's always the exception.
Yeah.
And Carl has proven us all wrong.
I get the athletic, and I'm with you. I'm a waggler, and I want to feel athletic. Somehow, Sevi Ballesteros made the non-waggle look athletic. In
Well,
fact,
because he was moving, he was still tapping around.
I'll dig it up. I'll dig up a Sevi pre-shot in the swing. I think we'll get in that 1986 Masters that Jack Nicklaus won. There's a shot of him hitting the second shot to the 13th hole.
Oh, right. Yep.
And
off
he hits
the hanging line.
Off the hanging line, hits
it's-
it to 6 foot.
I remember it. Yeah. And then 2 holes later, he chunks it in the water.
Oh,
Oh, a little waggle there. Little waggle.
he hasn't set up.
He
though,
hasn't
Nick.
set up.
He hasn't
No,
set
fair
up.
call.
All right, here we go. Look at the feet. Look at the head.
Yes.
Look at the feet. No waggle. A little bump forward. Oh, watch where this finishes.
Is this the one where he high fives or low fives his caddy too,
Yeah.
I think, as he's walking up the fairway?
He thinks he's got it. At this stage, it is his.
Yes. I think
He makes that putt, doesn't he?
Yeah, he does.
He
He
makes
makes
that
eagle. So,
Anyway, thanks, Dan. That was
very impressive.
genius how you got that up. Look at him. How cool was he?
Yeah.
So there's a non-waggler. It's interesting there because he does the forward bump where today they teach a backwards bump. Have you seen this?
Well,
that's really interesting.
yeah.
Not all coaches.
No.
Some coaches.
Well, certainly, remember Roger Davis was probably the most famous forward bump.
Yeah,
That was the big
he had a
forward
big forward
press,
bump, yeah.
is what it was. So.
But that's back in the days when the sweet spot was as big as a 1 cent piece.
Very true.
Now, with the sweet spot being as big as a 20 cent piece, maybe even a 50 cent piece on some drivers, you can afford to have a little bit of head movement.
Maybe.
And it's funny, can we just go back to the 2 kids we saw swing? Watch the amount of head movement in both their actions.
On the way down?
on the way back, on the
Okay.
way down.
I noticed a big head drop in Carl Vilips.
huge.
It's almost Wacko Neiman-ish.
Yeah, that's
So-
right. You can watch as we get now. All right, put him on the big screen, Dan. You watch it in this slow motion version of Carl Vilips' swing. His head will
Let's have a
dip.
look.
It'll dip towards the ball. There it goes.
Down. Mm-hmm.
Down.
Ooh.
Huge amount of head movement.
Yeah.
And again, let's have a look at Van Veek as well, because this is the difference in teaching of what they do these days. Head movement is okay if you've got a gigantic sweet spot. Here's Van Veek. He's going to be a good player, this kid. Watch the head movement.
Well, the biggest thing about, oh my goodness, the biggest
Yeah.
thing about all those is they're clearing their hips out of the way so much and they're
Yeah.
retaining their upper body angle or their tilt.
Yeah.
It's funny, when I was always taught, okay, just keep your head steady, nice and tall through
Yes.
the ball, none of this dipping down.
Yes, that's right.
So the game has certainly changed in that sense. But anyway, it's fascinating to see what Cole Swatton's doing with him. And as I mentioned before, Jason Day is back with him as well. But you were saying he's changed his putting, and we saw a bit of that at Bay Hill.
Yeah, that's right. So Cole Swatton thought that Jason was just too tall.
Okay.
So got him bending over more and getting his eyes, the
Yeah.
classic, over top of the ball.
Well, he was going along nicely. He was only 2 strokes back.
Yeah.
On the back 9,
Oh,
and then unfortunately came home in a bit of an ambulance. He
Can you put
double
that one up
bogeyed-
too, Dan?
Double
Go on.
bogeyed 16,
Yep.
had a bit of a mud ball there, and then bogeyed the last as well. So
So you can see him there.
this
Now,
is him putting on 17 by the looks.
if you haven't been watching him of late, then you might not notice just the subtle difference. But the subtle difference is he's bent over from the waist more and has got his eyes more over the line. There's the view I was really looking for. You can see him bent right over. Now, what that does is 2 things. When you bend over like that and get your eyes over the ball, you get the weight to the balls of the feet where you are at your most balanced. But also, he was saying, Jason, that it now everything looks square to him again.
Okay.
You know how sometimes it can be not distorted's the wrong term, but things are just out of whack when you
Yeah.
look down sometimes.
Yeah, that's generally to do with your eyes, and they're not over the ball or slightly inside is always best. If you're outside the line, if you bend over too much, you got to be careful.
Yeah.
Because you don't want them outside the line, always on the line of the ball or slightly inside. That's why all the pros use a mirror, basically, whenever they're practicing.
Yeah.
That's the first 10, 15 minutes of their practice session. Get a mirror. That'll square you up. That'll get your eyes in the right spot. So you're just reinforcing the fundamentals every single time.
Yeah. If we're talking about Jason Day too, with the Players' Championship coming up this week, he's a past Players' Champion. I don't think I've ever seen him swing the club as well as he is. And if he can get the pay, because when he was the best putter in the world, when he was the best player in the world, he was also the best putter in the world.
Yeah.
And I think being the best putter in the world always goes hand in hand with winning tournaments. By the way,
Unless you're Scotty Scheffler.
unless you're Scotty Scheffler, where you can be 130th in the field and still win.
So you know Colin Morikawa.
Yeah.
I found this out. What did he finish? He finished second by a shot at Bay
Yeah, that's
Hill to
right.
Russell Henley.
Well, that's when Russell chipped in on 16.
Yeah. He lost strokes gained in putting for the week.
Morikawa
did. He lost 1 stroke for the week, and then Scheffler, who finished 11th, lost 5 or 6 strokes for the week in putting.
Are you
That
kidding
goes
me?
to show you how good these guys are hitting the
Well,
ball.
can I tell you this? Because after 3 rounds, he was leading the tournament in scrambling. He was 14 from 16 scrambling.
Incredible.
So that
But-
means he's chipping it very, very
Really
close.
close, yeah.
Really, really
Yeah.
close.
So, well, it's one of those courses, Bay Hill. As you know, I love it so much. Not. It's an absolute. No, I won't say what I really think of it, but it's not my favourite golf course. The greens were basically dead. I don't know if you watch much of it.
Yeah, they were dead.
They're pretty much dead, and
And running at 13 and a half.
and it's a weird green to hit into because you just can't create any friction on the ball when it lands. It's just it's like it has a coat of Vaseline and it just skids.
Yeah.
Like a really low skiddy bounce when it lands. It doesn't bounce high or
Yeah.
anything. And then they grow the rough up like 6 inches long all around the greens. It goes a foot off and you can't even see the ball. I mean, I don't know what they're doing as far as strategy around there. You just got to obviously hit every green possible.
So the biggest culprit is, of course, the 17th. That's the firmest green, it seems, on the golf course. And I know we've got a picture of the before and after coming up. So, folks, if you can remember, once upon a time it had the beach bunker, is the way it was always known, where the water would actually go into the bunker.
Yeah, I always thought about sitting down there with a towel and a pina colada maybe and just dipping the toes in. But now that's one change I do like, that they got rid of that bunker, because it was just horrible. It really wasn't a good bunker.
But explain to people how hard it was to hold this green, because
ridiculous.
What you're saying is right. The greens get cut so low that they are basically dead.
So, yeah, you land, and depending on how far the tees are forward, and the players are hitting the ball a long way now, so they're probably hitting 7 or 6 irons in. But I've had times when I've hit hybrids and 4 irons into it. I remember watching one year, because I was thinking, how the hell do you stop it on this ball? And I might have been either playing with I must have been playing with the VJ Singh. And he had about a 5 iron in his hand, and he teed it up the height of a driver. Yeah. And he hit it, and he put it in his front foot, and he hit it like twice the height. I mean, higher than any wedge shot I've ever seen. Landed it on the green and stopped it, because of that particular year it was downwind, couldn't hold the green or anything. So I thought, well, if that's what it comes to, we're all in a spot of bother here. So, yeah.
It's funny you say that. I used to caddy for David Faraday, as you know, one year at the Australian Masters when the greens were so hard and so quick. The old 15th hole, which was it was angled, that would help a left-hander to where if you pull it goes further. But for the right-handers, it was no good. They had the pin on the very back of it and on the downslope. Oh. And my guy, David Faraday, we're playing with Greg Norman. My guy hit the most beautiful fade you've ever seen in your life for someone like David. It landed in the perfect spot and went over the back. And David came back and jammed the club into the golf bag and said, how do you stop it on this green?
Yep. And Greg Shark.
Greg Norman was next up, and he just hit the highest 9-iron I've ever seen to 2 feet. And we were both, you know, I was only a kid, I was 15, and he was a Ryder Cup player, but he just gave me a chat on the way down to the green of no person, that's not possible to do. What Greg did, it wasn't possible. And it sounds like only the very best have that capability in their in their bag.
It's brutal, but Bay Hill always it's a fascinating test, because that particular golf course throws up different winners, I guess. Although you know, Scotty Scheffler's won there, Jason Day's won there, obviously Rod Pampling. You know, the Aussies have done pretty well around there. But someone like Russell Henley, by the way, possibly the most underrated career at the moment. The most underrated career used to be Charles Howell III.
Yep.
He won over $40 million and just the top 10 machine, and, you know, always kept his card, things like that. Russell Henley is in a similar mould. How much money do you think this guy's won on the tour?
How long? How he couldn't have been out there for more than 8 or 9 years?
Yeah, maybe 10 years, something like that.
He's played in one President's Cup, so I know he's achieved a bit. So I'm going to say, I don't know, 20 million.
Yeah, I think he's up to almost $40 million now.
$40 million?
Yeah. I think that win, because it's a signature event, took him up to about 38 or something like that. So
oh my God,
it's crazy.
Dan, have we got any footage of him chipping in? Which this one on 16 really turned the tables.
Well, the funny thing with Henley too is if you walk down the street and you saw him, you'd go,
you wouldn't recognise him.
I don't know who that guy is. He's not number 7 in the world, which he now is after this win. But this is the chip shot which really changed everything. They almost didn't get it on the TV coverage too.
Yeah. So Morikawa was leading, hit in the trap, only had 175 yards to the pin and elected to lay up. Now, the commentators said it was a bad lie, the course commentator.
Yeah, I saw it.
It was a bad lie?
It was a bad lie, yeah.
Okay, so Morikawa laid up, ended up making par, and then Russell Henley has got the 2-shot swing there on 16 with that chip in.
And parred the last 2, and away you go. So hold really good par putts on 17 and 18 too, 4-5 footers. The problem with Bay Hill greens is you can't see much slope. Like, there's no real rhyme or reason. It's just they're all pretty flat and they're dead and very subtle. Yeah. So he did some really nice things with the putter on the last 2 holes. And this is his putter too, is that right?
Yeah, that's right. There we go, Dan. That's the putter he used. So these things are coming out very, very soon. Thanks
what's
to
that one called
Titleist.
For our listener?
That one's called, I haven't got my glasses on, the Phantom 5.
Oh, there you go. Okay.
Phantom 5. So it's a face balance putter. So that's the face balance there.
Beautiful.
Actually, when you putt with it, get up there, Nick.
No, hey, mate, I only use ping putters. You know.
Oh, that's right. So. when you putt with it, it's the most face balanced putter that I've ever felt, to where it almost feels like the heel goes through,
which is the idea,
keeps it square. I've putted with face balance putters before, and you do the finger thing, and there it is. It's face balanced. But I've never felt one that actually makes it feel like it doesn't go. It feels like the face doesn't release.
Right. It just wants to stay square the whole
It
time.
just wants to stay square, which is an unusual feel.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Well, it worked on those fast greens. Now, you want to talk about fast greens, is that right?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Because I hear so many people talking about, I love fast greens. And that's great, except at most golf clubs, if you get
what
the
sort
greens...
of handicaps are they off?
if you get the greens to running at 13, that means all the pins have to be in really flat spots.
Yeah, true.
And I want to give a bit of praise to the Arnold Palmer tournament. That's as fast as I've ever seen those greens, but they did it on a weekend where there was no wind.
Well, the forecast was for a bit of wind on Sunday.
Yeah,
so
but remarkably, there was no wind on Saturday and Sunday. Now, they got it right.
Yeah.
They got it right. But have you? How often have you played in a golf tournament where the greenkeeper wants a real test, and then on Saturday and Sunday the wind blows, and it's either the most boring pin positions you've ever seen because they've got to find the flattest spots, or they put the pins in interesting spots where the greens are running over 13 and it's windy and it's a joke.
Turns into a 5.5 hour round.
Now, I've got some stats on this.
All right, go on.
Because I know people love fast greens. Oh, they love bragging that they can putt on fast greens. I know they do. So I think, and so does the USGA, that when the greens run at 11, that's a fantastic speed for club golfers, to where it's...
10 to 11 is good.
10 to 11 is fantastic. I think British Opens, they run at about 9.5, 10. And on the PGA Tour, they run at about 11. So the PGA Tour speed is a beautiful speed, a challenging speed for club golfers. For every foot over 11, the USGA will tell you that it puts 20 minutes onto your round.
20 minutes?
20 minutes.
Wow.
So that means if you want your greens at 13, folks, then your 4-hour round will turn into a 4-hour 40 round, according to the USGA. Now, I don't know about you, but I would rather the greens at 11. You protect the greens from the hot weather, and then you can put the pins in interesting spots.
Very much so, yeah.
Now, at my club last Saturday, Kingston Heath, you know what they did? They had a day where they recut the holes on the Sunday Australian Open pins.
Nice.
And it was great fun.
Awesome.
I'm telling you, it was fantastic fun. Now, Kingston Heath had the Australian Open, but that's not stopping Mount Lawley from doing an Australian Open Sunday pins.
Yeah,
and just doing it. And it was a great idea. Now, if you...
Now, they didn't make the greens too quick, obviously.
No, they didn't make the greens too quick, but they did make it a par comp. And because of the harder pins.
That's a good idea.
So it was a par comp. They had pins in, not every one was the Sunday pin, for instance, all right, but there was probably about half were in places that we as members had never seen them before. And I'm telling you, folks, it was a great thing to do. If you are on a committee somewhere, suggest it. You don't have to have your course holding an Australian Open to have some Australian Open Sunday pins.
Yeah.
And if you market it like that, say, okay, 2 weeks out, in a couple of Saturdays, we're going to have our Australian Open Pins Day.
Love it.
I think as soon as we got to the golf course, we were all excited. Like, I played in 13 Australian Opens.
Did they put the tees where the same spot?
No,
okay.
the tees were just in the normal
just
spot.
Just the pins, okay.
We've got the Australian, actually saying that, we've got the Australian Open golf course tees this week on Saturday, which is great fun. And I think if your golf course does have extreme back tees, 2-3 times a year,
absolutely,
it's also a great fun thing to do.
Yeah, we used to have Get Tough Day. I might have said this before at Isleworth when I was living in the States, and they would put pins a metre from the edge of a green or on a slope where the ball would just come back to you. And a lot of the pros would play, and usually only 1 or 2 pros would break 80 that day.
Isn't that incredible?
And they'd cut the greens at about 14 and things like that. So
crazy.
Incredible.
Anyway, look, the good things, if you want to break it up, I think they are wonderful things for golf clubs to do. 2 points of business before we get to the turn.
Okay.
As we sit here, first week in March,
the
Australian Open dates are yet to be released.
Oh, no. Okay.
I mean...
We still don't know.
Are we serious or not, is what I want to know. What's going on?
Yeah.
I think it's time to get serious. I think I sent you something about the Walker Cup. Just announced that the 2044 Walker Cup is going to be at Pine Valley. 2044.
2044. What's that? 19 years away.
Right.
We know it's there. Perfect.
We know it's there.
I love it.
The Australian Open, we think it's 8 months away, but we don't know that it's 8 months away. We think the ladies are playing in February, but we don't know.
No. Same
They're
thing
playing
happened
in
last
February.
year, didn't it? Yeah.
So I think we need to get James on.
Well, we've been trying, right?
James
We just
Sutherland, Josh Martin, can we get something happening, please? We don't mind that. And my other point of business, Dan, look what I've got.
Oh,
Look what I found. Now, you've been banging on about this for a while.
Yeah.
This is this one here.
Oh, the mini driver.
That's the mini driver that I just found in the Titleist showroom.
Oh, right.
It's called the GT 280.
280.
And it's got 13 degrees. Now,
So that would be 280 cc's.
That's
Because
right.
I've always said that at the moment for pros, not for club golfers or anything, but the pros or elite AMs you're playing national open or state amateurs or something like that, the maximum cc's should be 300.
300.
Now, for our viewers on YouTube, you can sort of see the difference
That's
in the
right.
size between the mini driver and what we're using currently. So
Well,
it's
the
a
mini-
huge difference.
the huge
It's like a
difference.
3-wood basically.
But more and
isn't it?
more pros are using the mini driver as their fairway wood.
As the fairway
As
wood,
their
yeah.
bomber.
Right.
As their big bomber. Now, I'm with you. We're like-minded in this case. Amateur golfers, if you play with a handicap, this is all you.
Mm.
But if you are playing in scratch events, or if you are playing in high-level amateur tournaments, or if you're playing in professional events, then I'm absolutely with you. 300cc, so just a little bit bigger than that one, is perfect.
Absolutely. Put a bit of more spin on the ball as well and the smaller headed driver, and hey, that'll sort out who can play and who can't.
And the reason we love that is because courses like Royal Melbourne and Lake Karrinyup and Royal Sydney and Royal Queensland, and what else? Give me another one. Royal Hobart down in Tassie. I haven't been there for a long time.
Royal Adelaide.
Yeah, maybe 7 Mile Beach and 5 Mile Beach, Goggies courses. They are all still a test or more of a test for the best players in the world.
Indeed.
Time for a break.
Sounds good.
What's your top 5? What do you got?
My top 5 is based on a girl who won the LPGA tournament in China, Rio Takeda.
Look good, that course.
Yeah, she's a flusher, that girl, but she putts with a glove on.
Oh, okay.
So my top 5 is let me have another look.
Is it in order?
I wrote it down somewhere.
Is it in order?
I wrote it down. My top 5 most well-known golfers I've seen putt with a glove from worst to best.
Yeah, love it. Very good. All right, I'll catch you on the 10th tee.
How does the best get better? With more speed off the tee. More control with your irons. More spin with your wedges. Introducing the all-new Pro V1 and Pro V1X.
We're live from our studio at Titleist and FootJoy headquarters. We all know the number one ball in golf is Titleist and the number one shoe and glove in golf is FootJoy. We're here thanks to the Golf Clearance Outlet. They beat everyone's prices. Ping will always help you play your best. Turn your bogeys into birdies with the Watch My Numbers app, and Better, the fastest and easiest betting app in Australia. That's better. Now, back to Talk Birdie To Me. Here's Nick and Mark.
Okay, just before we get to your top 5, Nicklaus, there's a point of business that I left out in the first half. I did see an article, Golf Digest, I think it was Australia, that the Liv, Yasser, Jay Monahan and Trump talks broke down in the White House. And they broke down because Yasser was insulted with what was on the table.
Really? Okay.
That doesn't sound much good to me.
No.
I don't know about you, but that doesn't sound any good to me because I want everyone back together.
Everyone was getting closer and closer and closer, and now we're, maybe spreading apart. But again, when I'm reading certain things, different players, Rory's even come out and said, well, yes, we were close, but maybe the tour doesn't even need him now. So
Yeah.
there's various comments flying around.
I wonder if one of the bargaining chips would be live teams playing in the TGL against New York,
Yeah, maybe.
and everybody else. It would have to be.
But
They all live there.
I assume so, yeah. But I've watched the TGL and the first few, and I haven't watched it since, so it hasn't really captured my attention. I don't know about you. I watch the minis, but
Yeah, I watch the minis.
every now and then. But it's still, okay.
Yeah, but I don't think I'm around to watch the live one. I'm always doing
Yeah,
something.
no, I get it.
Yeah,
I
I'm
get
always
it.
doing something. But if the mini's on, I'll have a quick look.
Yeah, if you got 20 minutes to kill.
All right, time for this week's top 5.
Top five, top five, top five.
The Talk Birdie To Me Top 5, thanks to Southern Golf Club.
Top five, top five, top five.
All right, guys, my top 5 this week is the most well-known golfers I've seen that putt with a glove, but in order from worst to best.
Okay. I like it.
The worst putter I've ever seen.
Hang on, before you go, I can't think of a bad putter who putted with a glove on.
Okay, I've got to tell you one straight off
Okay,
the bat.
let's go.
The worst putter one of the worst putters on tour, really. But she won a major championship as well. Who am I talking about?
Oh,
Great ball striker.
yes. Plays in the mix. What's her name?
Lexi
Yeah,
Thompson.
Bad putter.
Yeah, not a good putter at all. The short game in general just isn't great. If she had a good short game, not even a great short game, it'd be scary how many majors she would have
She would've
won.
cleaned up.
Her ball striking
Completely cleaned
belongs
up.
on the men's tour. Really, that's
Yep.
how good she hits it. So that's my number 5. Number 4, I have a tie because I can't separate them.
Why do you always do this, mate?
Just to annoy you.
God.
No, it's there's Tommy Two Gloves. Remember Tommy
Yeah,
Gainey?
yeah.
He was a decent putter.
Did
was
he
okay.
putt with two gloves
He putted
on?
with 2 gloves on. Now, the other guy that plays with 2 gloves at the moment on tour is Aaron Rye, but when he putts, I think he only has 1 glove on. So
He takes one glove off.
I think so, yeah. So I'll have to have another look at it just to make sure.
It's a
but,
shame he didn't have a name that we could associate. Like Tommy Two Gloves was so
And if
beautiful.
Aaron Rye doesn't putt with a glove on, well, I'll just stick with Tommy Gainey as
Yeah.
my number 4 anyway.
Yeah,
So
okay, good.
Number 3, though, an excellent putter that I saw for the first time on the weekend. She actually won the LPGA tournament, the Blue Bay in LPGA event in China.
Have we got some video?
And we do have some
Dan?
footage. And the other great thing about this, it's a wonderful stroke. She ended up winning by, how many shots did she win by? She had a 6-shot win over Minjee Lee, actually, as it turned out.
Jeez, she looked so comfortable there. It was a 6-shot win, wasn't
It
it?
was incredible, yeah. But the other thing is, on her bag was a guy called Dean Herden.
Oh, you're kidding me?
You know Dino?
Yeah, I know Dean.
Yep.
He's been caddying for years and years and
Years.
years.
And
Where is he?
for our viewers who are watching this, you'll see Dean very shortly. But
He was always a nice character, wasn't he,
such a
Dino?
good guy. There he is in the background.
There he is, big hug.
Brilliant. So good. But Dean,
Oh.
I have a feeling
Champagne everywhere.
I have a feeling for Dean. That's that's over 50 wins. I'm not sure if it's 60, but he's close to 60
Are you
wins on
kidding
tour.
me?
Well, he caddied for MB Park, remember, for a
Okay, yeah,
while.
there you
He's
go.
caddied for a lot of good players. He did caddy for me, but unfortunately, we didn't win together. So
Right.
I was his failure, as it turned out. But anyway, she's got a really good future ahead of her.
That's your
Rio
number 3.
Takeda. That's my number 3.
Oh, I know
Number
who-
2 and 1 was
Oh, they're
really
easy.
hard to split.
Easy.
Because
I know
one of
who-
them's a great friend of mine and one of the best putters I've ever seen.
Yes.
And that's Ian Baker Finch, obviously.
Yes.
Just one of the great putters of all time. Used to putt with a glove on. Never
Yep.
saw a 3-foot putt go in, he always said.
He never saw one go in.
No, he listened for it to go in.
Is
so
that
he
right?
kept his head down as he hit the putt. So
He just started on the tracks and then keep your head down.
Beautiful stroke. So that's my number 2. And of course, number 1, how can you go past this guy, the greatest of all
Yep.
time, the Golden Bear himself, Jack Nicklaus, who won 18 majors and putted with a glove on. Something so fascinating. Now, there's a great story I heard about Jack
Go on.
where he was at a conference or a seminar giving a talk. And I think it might have been in Bob Rotella's book, the Dr. Bob Rotella. I spent a bit of time with Doc, as we used to call him, great guy. But Jack was giving this talk, and at the end he said, look, putting is all about confidence, blah, blah, blah. And he'd go on about all this other stuff. And he said, at the end, he says, I have never missed a putt inside 5 feet on the final hole of a golf tournament. Never.
Okay.
He says, I've never missed inside 5 feet, and I've never 3-putted.
Yeah.
Never 3-putted.
I can think of one.
So, at Q&A time, after he's given his speech, there's a guy in the crowd who puts his hand up and said, excuse me, Mr. Nicklaus, but I distinctly remember at this tournament, such and such.
Turnberry, British Open.
You 3-putted on the final green.
The Battle in the Sun, it used to be called, or the Showdown in the Sun, or something like that.
He held a bomb on that last green.
Yeah,
what are you talking about?
On 17. On 17,
On the final hole.
Oh,
He's talking
okay.
about on the final hole, on the 18th hole. He's never 3-putted or missed a putt inside 5 feet. And the guy put up his hand and said, look, I've got, you did. And Jack looked directly at the guy and says, sir, I have never missed a putt inside 5 feet and I've never 3-putted the final hole of a green. He says, I can send you the video if you want.
I've never. Yeah,
and Jack said, no, sir, you're wrong. Anyway, the guy just sort of quietened down. And anyway, he met up with Bob Rotella afterwards and he said, Bob, what's going on with Jack? Why wouldn't he admit it? And he said, okay, let me get this straight. Do you play golf? And he said, yeah, I play golf. He said, what's your handicap? I'm off a 16. He says, okay. So you're telling me you want the greatest golfer of all time to think like you.
It's true.
Now, obviously he's done it. He's 3-putted the final green and missed short putts, but he just has that compartment in his mind so that when he does get on that final hole, he needs to make a putt to win. He doesn't miss it.
That's exactly right.
That's why he's the greatest.
That is the mentality. It's like Sevi Ballesteros, the 4-putt, he just didn't care.
Yeah.
I miss, I make. It doesn't matter what doesn't matter about the evidence. Good putters always believe that they are the greatest putters ever.
Indeed.
It's as simple as that.
All right, next week it's top 5 non-wanglers.
Well, I'll see. I'll see if I can get one up and down. Something else might happen. We stay topical, Dick.
Well, I saw Rio putt and I thought, I like that with the glove.
Yeah, no, it's very, very good.
Time for a bit of feedback, boys?
Yeah, let's go.
Good. All right, guys, first bit of feedback. Actually, it's a question for you guys, and it's a question from David in Brisbane. And I thought rather than me reading out his question, we might give him a buzz and have a yak to him and see what he reckons.
On.
All right.
So whack your cans on.
Yeah,
and if I've done this correctly, we should have David on the phone here. Oh,
He's still... G'day, David. How are you? Mark Allen and Nick O'Hearn, nice to see you.
Hi, boys. Nice to see you all. Love listening to the pod, and thanks for taking the question.
Now, first things first, are you okay up there in Brisbane after Cyclone Alfred?
Yeah, it's all good. It was a bit of wind and a lot of water, but most places are okay. There's a few golf courses underwater, but they'll come back over the next month or so as well, and most people seem to be safe and well.
Good on you. Well, first of all, thanks for listening all the time. We appreciate it. What's your question?
Well, the question is, I've got my, this time next week, in fact, I'll be in the first round of my annual golf trip, which is this year going to the Barossa Valley.
Ooh,
so
jealous already.
40
Nice.
guys.
40?
40 guys. Travelling, handicaps range from 3 to 54. 4 rounds of golf over 4 days, all food, drink, transport provided.
Wow.
Plenty of fun and games, but looking for some advice on ways to sustain performance over 4 full days of high-level golf and enjoyment.
Right.
Any tips
Wow.
from PGA or other?
Well,
It depends if you want to win the comp or do you want to enjoy yourself.
what do you want to win? Do you want to win the drinking competition or the golf?
I'm probably going to be a lightweight on the drinking, but so yes, a lot of us go for the golf with a side of drinks, and a lot of us go for the drinks with a side of golf.
Okay, well, the first thing you've got to do is head straight to the supermarket and get the big double pack of Barocca. That's a very, very important thing to do, and you need to take the preemptive Barocca. So not only, as soon as you finish golf, then you crack a couple of Baroccas in and then you can have a drink, and then you have a nice night, and then the first thing you do when you wake up is crack a couple of Baroccas in,
You're
and then
speaking from
away you go.
experience here by the sounds, mate.
I'm like you, David. I'm a very bad drinker. I've never been any good at it, and Barocca has always been my friend.
Very good.
Shandies knock you around that much, do they?
Yeah, shandies do. That's right.
I would say so. That's sort of looking after your body from the drinking side of things and the health side. From the golf side of things, what I would say to you, David, is to pace yourself. Okay, with 4 rounds of golf, you're going to have this roller coaster. You're going to have good patches, bad patches. Don't get too caught up in the score. It's more about just stick to your game plan. Just play solid golf, tee to greens. have a good short game, obviously. But it's more if you get so caught up in the first day of just having a bad day and you think, oh, what's the point? Then you go write yourself off, well, then you're done.
Yeah.
So just realise 4 days, anything can happen.
Yes. Yeah. Can I give you just a little bit of advice? There's nothing worse than Dr. Serious on these trips.
True.
So if you want to win the comp, then you've got to put Dr. Serious in tiny little compartments. So you hit your shot, you're all walking down the fairway, be one of the boys.
Yeah.
That's the time to be one of the boys. But then, as soon as you take that 7-iron out of the bag, that's when Captain Serious kicks in and you do your thing. And then as soon as you've hit the shot, Captain Serious, you can put him back in the bag like your 7-iron and then carry on.
I call it switching on and switching off.
there
You'd
we
call
go.
it Captain Serious and
Yes.
party time. I love it.
I like it. I reckon that'll help.
Well, that sounds like a sensational trip. Make sure you let us know how everything went, and particularly if you are the number one by weekend's finish.
Yeah, and there's
No
a few.
problems at all.
There's some good wineries there. Obviously, get to Penfolds if you can. You're in Barossa, but check out Rockford too. That's my favourite.
Righto. Well, that's some
Okay,
good
thank
advice
you.
from
Thanks
Nico
for the
Earn because he
tip.
loves
yeah.
a drink.
Thanks for that. Really appreciate it.
Good on you, Dave.
Thanks, Dave.
There we go. Well, I think that worked quite well. We might have to do more WhatsApp callers, Dan. That's for sure.
Oh, I think we should. I think that'd be a fantastic thing to do. Okay, a little bit more feedback.
Actually, even if James Sutherland, if you're listening, James, even if you want to do a WhatsApp call, we're happy with that.
Actually, that'd work well.
Something.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay, some more feedback here. This is from Derek Engel. I remember watching, this is what you were talking about earlier on. I remember watching Carl as a kid on YouTube, and now he's winning the damn PGA Tour. Insane.
Yeah, it is crazy.
Yeah.
It is brilliant. It's just
Carl.
it's a wonderful rise.
Yeah. Kyle has said, what a showing by the champ. Minji was on fire as well. I'm always on team Minji.
How she looked? I didn't catch much of the tournament.
Played well.
I saw the golf course, but I didn't catch much of watching Minji. She mustn't have been on when I was watching. So
Okay.
how's the putting looking? Obviously a lot better.
Yeah, rock solid. I was curious about, was there a touch or anything? No, it looks no problem at all.
She's Adam Scotting.
She's not quite Adam Scotting, but it's
not anchoring.
It's not anchoring.
Good.
I did see a couple of possible anchoring moments on the DP World Tour by another player, but
Which player?
Ooh.
Anyway? Which player was it?
Sean Norris, who was in the final group, and he got a little close at times and ended up losing in a playoff. But
we'll put
Minji's
him-
playing well though. Good to see him
Well,
back.
Sean Norris is a watch then. We'll keep an eye on him.
We will.
This is an interesting comment here. This is from Roger, and this is about the tournament in China at the weekend. Another BS rookie from Japan, an established winner on the JLPGA, smoke on the field. She should not be classed as a rookie.
Fair call. As far rookie on the LPGA tour,
Yeah.
but not on the
She's-
professional tour.
So she's not a rookie pro. It's not in her first year as a pro. Yeah, I get that.
Last week, Mark, you gave the New Zealand Open a fair whack.
Yeah.
A fair whack on the structure. Just to repeat the key point, just give us the brief version of that again.
Well, your national tournament should be run like a US Open or an Open Championship. All national opens should be run like that. Now, great success in New Zealand. It's a $2 million tournament. They've got some decent players there, but it is a pro-am. You've got people playing for their lives, trying to get Open Championship exemptions and win Order of Merits and all that kind of stuff, and they've got to watch Charlie Hack carve it into the water, 3-putt, all this sort of stuff, step on your line. While you're trying to win a national open, it's not on. Now, I just think there's another tournament there called the New Zealand PGA that is being played this week or last week. That's probably where I would put the pro-am. It's if I had the keys, but I don't.
Well, as you might expect, there was a lot of feedback and a lot of reaction to that. Some agreed with you and some didn't agree with you. Nuts said, I agree. Watching the coverage, I don't want to see Ricky Ponting putting or an interview with Stephen Fleming. That's his view.
Yeah,
Fair
I'm with
enough.
you. It's a national open.
Yeah. Unless...
I don't want to see Ricky Ponting anchoring. That's what I...
Yeah. Hello, Ricky. We're friends of yours.
only kidding.
This one from Five Iron. Five Iron said, unless it's a major championship, you need revenue to increase, and the way to do it, among other things, is to include a pro-am. We do that at our Canadian Open, and the tournament is still very serious.
The Canadian Open's not a pro-am.
Not that I know of.
No,
Canadian
that's
Open
incorrect.
isn't- No.
So that's wrong.
Okay, so you're saying Five Iron's got his facts wrong?
5-iron doesn't know. I think 5-iron's a 6-iron.
There is a pro-am before the Canadian Open, but
Yeah.
it's a 4-day tournament.
That's
Okay.
exactly right.
Golf Wolf. This is so true, Mark. The organisers are scared to lose their circle of celebrity mates by removing the Pro-Am format. I think it's a bit harsh, to be fair. The high-level golfers aren't playing because of the Pro-Am format.
Yes, I agree. Now, look, what they could do, they've got some golf courses in New Zealand that are just unbelievable places. You got TRI, North and South. You got Tara Edie. Imagine if you did a, Pebble Beach Pro-Am style thing up there and played on those 3 courses. You're all, in the little village together. That's where the Pro-Am makes sense. And then you have the New Zealand Open the very next week. And hopefully, you get everything in order there in Golf New Zealand and make the National Championship what it used to be when you and I used to play. A wonderful, wonderful championship.
I get it. Unfortunately, it just comes down to dollars and cents, and they can't get enough money to do it, and the only way is to make it a Pro-Am format. So we, and we spoke earlier about the Australian Open, how we don't know the date, we don't know when it's going to be.
No.
Do they have sponsors, things like that? Well, I hate to say it, but
I want to ask you a question. Hander were only going to be involved if it was a mixed event. Now, are they involved? Because if Hander aren't involved as a single, if they're not involved as a single open for men, or it's just a single open for women, maybe that is the issue.
Maybe.
In fact, I'm putting that question to you because I heard a little whisper that Hander have pulled out.
Really?
Well, we'll know soon enough.
I don't know.
We'll know soon enough, but that's what I've been told.
Okay.
A couple of last comments on this one. Aratoy, it was awesome, great to experience. We don't get too many high quality golf events down here, which is a fair point.
Yep.
And this one here, this is from David Blake. Now, David's part of the Golf Rules Questions podcast with our mate Stu McPhee. This is not from Stu. This is from David, though.
I've got some Stu McPhee news.
Right.
I think you've got that news too. Anyway, but go do what you're doing first.
Okay, all right. So this one is from David. Everyone loves to speak ill of certain formats, the New Zealand Pro-Am, the Australian Open Mixed, etc. The reality is, though, there is not much money in professional golf. It's not that attractive. The common golfer would rather play at their local track than support the local tour. That's from David Blake.
Did David just say there's not much money in professional golf?
David said there is not much money in professional golf.
What golf is he watching?
How much money did Russell Henley win the other day? And Sergio on Live? Yeah.
You know how much they're playing for this week at the Players' Championship with that beautiful picture behind? $25 million US. 4.5 million to the winner. Now, I know that's at the top end, but please, have a look at the Asian circuit. Have a look at there is so much money in professional golf. It is not funny. Unfortunately, we're just not seeing any of it down here.
True.
So hopefully, if Liv, Yasser, Jay Monahan, and Trumpy get everything in line, hopefully some of that money will flow down here. I'm sure that's what Golf New Zealand and Golf Australia would like. And I know this: if they were part of the DP World Tour, and our tournaments were somehow sandwiched around the Live events, then I almost guarantee it's a phone call to try and get some of that Live money.
Yep. And you were talking about Stuart McPhee earlier.
Oh, yes.
We need to give him a new nickname.
What's that?
Double D.
Double D?
David Duval of The Rules.
Oh, yeah, that's
right. So, to our listener and our viewer...
Double D, Stuart.
Stuart McPhee, who's our rules guy. We've always said he's our rules guy.
It's because he's the best.
Yeah, he's been travelling around working with the RNA over at Scotland. Got on the old course, he said, had a wander around, which was fantastic, and then went across to the States, where sat a 4-hour exam with the USGA.
A 4-hour exam?
100-question exam, and you know what he got?
For rules? Yeah, I do know what he got.
100 out of 100, baby.
So,
wow. So well done to Stu. So he is our David Duval of 59s.
Level 5.
Level 5.
Level 5 rules official. Well done, Stuart.
Now, yeah, that is good. We had so many comments on your comments on the Open. I can't read them all. There's tons, but I will read this final one because I think it's harsh, but it's also very funny. It's also very funny. This is from Declan. The problem is a small country like New Zealand has small sponsorship opportunities. One tournament got their hands on the sponsors and the other didn't. Mark, if you are so smart, you should run a tournament and raise the funds. If you're not, stop telling those that are doing it that they're doing it wrong.
Look, I'm not going to jump out and start running tournaments. I'm doing other things. But yes, I am highly critical of the New Zealand Open and the Australian Open, two wonderful, wonderful championships. And I'll say it again. The DP World Tour would love the championship history that those tournaments have got. They will help us if we're in a better spot. They will help us if they are aligned with LIV and everyone gets back together. I'm absolutely certain that will happen. So fingers crossed, but we need to, just get ready for a big transition when that does happen, because I'm very confident that it will happen.
It's a shame he's not going to be a tournament director. That would be a fascinating event to go to.
You know what we should do? We should get
Talk Birdie To Me.
yes,
Tour event.
I might get one of the greatest ever tournament directors.
Trevor.
No, not Trevor. He is
Trevor's
one of them.
good.
But Tony Rosenberg.
Oh, Tony, yeah,
the
of
Rooster.
course.
I would love to get the Rooster on and see what he thinks about what is going on with our tournaments at the moment, and talked about his history, because he had what was the tournament in Perth?
The Vines.
The Vines. Yeah. He had the Johnny Walker Classic. I think he had the Australian Open there for a while. Well, he did have the Australian Open there for a while, because I got a couple invites on when I wasn't playing so well. So the Rooster would be great to get on at some stage. Put him on the list, Dan.
Yeah, it's a big list, isn't it? A couple of things we'll wrap up on here, because we've got so much. And I think we do a feedback pod later in the week, because we're getting so many questions at the moment. Good. Quick comment here from TD on Hugo. Yep. He's a flusher and one of the best teachers around. Very hard to argue.
Yeah, can't argue.
Yeah. Now, a bit of controversy last week on the hat that you were wearing, Mark.
There's no controversy.
So.
Well,
what's the controversy?
Well, I'll tell you what the controversy is. Pete has said, Mark, calling broad-brimmed hats dopey is not the right attitude when we're talking about protecting your face from the neck and the sun. And Paul Burgett said, that looks like a sun smart hat to me.
Yeah, but that wasn't the point. The reason I was wearing the hat is because I couldn't work out how you actually play in such a thing with the wide brims. I would actually, on the follow-through, I would hit that hat. It would come off all the time. So that was the point.
I don't think it was the exact one that he had on, but not the drawstring either. So
no, I think
the drawstring made it look worse.
His was much worse. But look, there are other ways to be sun smart, folks. There are other ways.
Now we'll wrap up on this one here.
Yes.
There's two people who messaged. This is after we were talking about Joe Daly last week. That very funny video.
Yeah.
Funny, but it's also sad at the same time.
Well, hang on. So Joe Daly's the bloke who hit a putt. It hit the ceramic insert in the cup, and it bounced out. And we were saying that he's never been heard from again.
That was at Q School, wasn't it?
That was at Q School, yes.
Ben Grozier has said, did you see the Wikipedia entry on Joe Daly? He was on the Champions Tour for a while. And AB has said, Joe won a senior major at the 2012 Constellation Senior Players Championship.
Wow. Okay.
So, there you go.
Oh, well, we are put back in our box.
It took him 20 years to get over it to go win a tournament.
Can you read some of that, Dan? Because you're right next to it.
Yeah.
What? Give me some of the highlights on the right-hand side. What's he done?
So hang on, where are the highlights? Number of wins on tour, 2 on the Corn Ferry Tour.
Wow.
1 on the PGA Champions Tour.
Yeah.
He made the cut in the US Open 2000 and 2007.
Nice.
They're probably his best results.
Good on him.
Which is not too bad.
Oh, I'm glad. I'm glad that us mocking him is incorrect.
Yeah. That's the feedback, but we will come back later in the week and do some more, because we've got a lot of really interesting questions that which can't get to in the normal pod.
All right. Hey, where's our trumpeter?
Well,
what's the story? You keep on promising the trumpeter, mate, and he's not here.
I don't know. We haven't got the trumpeter sorted.
Weak as water.
No, we haven't got the trumpeter sorted. But what we do have, though, is some music that's been sent in by a Wolfpack member.
Okay.
That I would like to play for you.
Right, I'm ready. I've got the earphones on. Let's see if the hairs on the back of my neck prick up.
Feel like I need a glass of wine with this.
On the green where the stories grow wide, Mark's in a blazer looking sharp on the side. Nick's got the vibe, he beat Tiger twice, talking birdies and bogeys while they're keeping it nice. Tuned to the fairway, the kings of the chat, breaking it down where the golfers hang at.
I think he's been listening to your. What was it?
That's Suno. That's come straight from Suno.
Yeah, was that site you were using?
Yeah, Suno, the AI music song generator. Yeah. Very good. I don't mind it, but I need some Diaz style hair on the back of my neck, sticking up, ready for the pings, global results.
So we don't have the trumpeter yet. We're in negotiations. We're deep in negotiations, and we'll see how we go and how we land.
Disappointing.
In the meantime, Nick, as usual, bring the excitement.
All right. Well, I'll do my best.
Yeah, talk in an exciting voice for us.
Shall do. PGA Tour, we had the Arnold Palmer Invitational at Bay Hill. Signature event, as we all know. So a lot of cash up for grabs. And Russell Henley, that chip in on 16, very impressive. He took the lead over Colin Morikawa, who had the lead all day. I think he had a 3-shot lead or a 2-shot lead on the back nine at one stage. And for Morikawa, those not being able to close tournaments is becoming a bit of an issue for him.
Can I just interject here? After 54 holes, the new lady came in close with the microphone, and the first question...
Is that Cara Banks?
It's her. First question was, you haven't won in 504 days. Now,
bang!
I just don't think that doesn't help you.
No.
But I also don't think it's necessary. I think the commentator, you and I, if he's on the golf course, we can talk about that.
Sure.
But to actually hit him over the forehead straight after a great third round and say you haven't won for 504 days.
What was his reply? I didn't see that.
He laughed at it. He's like, oh, God, do you have minutes and hours or something like that, I think he said. So, yeah, I don't think that's good.
Yeah.
I think that needs to be tidied up, PGA Tour
Well, normally
TV.
it's Amanda Balionis, isn't it? So it was a new...
It's
a
the new
different
one
girl
with the English
this
accent.
time, yeah, it was Cara.
That's right.
She's normally very good. So anyway.
No, I'll just give her a crack across the head.
Yeah,
I
fair
think she
enough.
better smarten up.
But a great win for Henley, who dons the red cardigan.
Yes.
I think you'd like the cardigan, wouldn't you?
Is it llama hair?
I don't know
I think
what
it's
it
a
is.
llama hair cardigan. It's ridiculous. A red one too.
Well, the photo that they took of him afterwards, it made him look like he was back in the 1960s or something playing a tournament. So, but anyway, great win for Henley and well done. The Australians, Jason Day tied for 8th. As mentioned earlier, he did have a good chance on that back nine, got within 2 strokes, got a mud ball on 16 and hit it in the water. It was a bad shot anyway. But
do you think him thinking about the mud ball when you got a second shot over water
absolutely
actually made him swing it bad?
Totally. He took the hand off the club as soon as he hit it. He chunked it, did something, and then the mud did the rest. I know he was trying to blame it, but the mind wasn't in the right space for it.
Yeah.
But that happens. Adam Scott tied for 36 with the other Australian who made the cut. Scotty Scheffler, just got to mention him because he lost 5 strokes to the field in putting, still finished tied for 11th. So the guy's a freak. The guy is an absolute
Minus
freak.
5 in putting and came almost a top 10.
If he just puts decent, he wins. It's crazy. Anyway, the other exciting news for the week on the PGA Tour is the opposite field event, Puerto Rico Open, where we had our own Carl Vilips in his 4th start on the PGA Tour. The one thing that, and he obviously took it out by 3 strokes, the one thing that disappointed me, he just got the ambassadorship with Tiger's Sunday Red.
Yeah.
Why didn't he wear the Sunday Red? What do you think? Needs to be done. He should have had the red shirt on.
Oh.
Right?
No, that means everyone who wears Sunday red has to wear the red shirt.
Well, he's the first guy, though. He can do it. Everyone else doesn't have to do it.
He spoke in the interview afterwards, and he was talking about all the messages on his phone, and he got one message where he didn't recognise the number.
Okay, let's have a listen.
Yeah, it was tough because I got on my phone after the round and I was scrolling through who was texting me, and I think I got one from a random number. It called me as well, and then there was a voicemail saying it's Tiger, and I couldn't process it in the moment. I was just trying to, I'll get back to that later, but that's pretty cool.
Well, it's not a random number anymore. That'll be straight in the contacts.
Would you put him in as Eldrick Woods? No, he goes in as Tiger.
Goes in as Tigger, I think.
Yeah, I think so.
Pop him in there. But anyway, a great win for the young man. And as you said, he lost the lead, went birdie, 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 and ended up winning by 3 from Rasmus Niergaard Pedersen. That's 64 on Sunday. So incredible.
Be on the lookout for Van Veek.
Van Veek.
The amateur kid. Very, very
So he's not a pro,
talented
he's an
young man.
amateur.
He's an amateur.
Still at college? Or?
Still at college. I forget which college he is at. South African kid, was a soccer player, came across. I think he bogeyed 16 and 17, but before that he hadn't made a bogey since the second hole on round number 2.
Oof.
And he looked every bit a superstar
All right.
to me.
Keep an eye on him. On the LPGA, they were in China for the Blue Bay LPGA tournament, where 21-year-old Japanese golfer Ryo Takeda, with Dean Herden on the bag, had a 2-shot lead going into the final round and shot 64 to equal the course record. You know, it was probably the most impressive thing, though, in that 64. Her playing partner shot 75, 76. You know how hard it is to shoot low when your playing partners are having an absolute nightmare? Because usually you kind of get dragged along with what they're doing in a way.
Right.
The low ones usually come when your playing partner's playing well. So
that is correct. That's what we're talking about with the New Zealand Open.
Incredible.
You're playing with amateurs in the field, it doesn't help you.
It doesn't, no. Anyway, she had a 6-shot win over our own Minjee Lee, who shot a final round 68. Very impressive. And in solo fourth, I got to mention this, Cassie Porter in her second start on the LPGA
You
tour.
still helping it along?
A little bit, yeah, just a bit with the putting at the moment. So we've still got a bit of work to do there.
Mindset stuff with the putting?
Oh, no, just more stroke and, just trying to free it up a little bit more.
Okay.
But her coach and caddy, Dan Morrison, on the bag and did an amazing job as well. But she birdied the last to get out of a big log jam, which made her
some cash.
quite a bit of cash doing that too. Really good up and down on the final hole.
Good
I
on
like
you,
to
Cassie.
call a Talk Birdie's own Cassie Porter.
Yes,
you. Yeah, I
I
think
like
that's
that
smart.
too.
Yeah.
Well, she's a ping player too, so
Yeah.
very good for the ping global results. The Live Tour were back, and they were in Hong Kong, in Fanling at the Hong Kong Golf Club. I used to play the Hong Kong Open there. It's a really good
me
track.
too.
I think Wade Ormsby's won there a couple of times, actually.
I used to love going to Hong Kong. It was one of my
Yeah, it was a lot
favourites
of fun.
there and Singapore, where they're playing this week.
Right, okay. But Sergio Garcia and his Fireballs swept Live Hong Kong anyway. They've now gone back-to-back, the Fireballs, because they also won in Adelaide a little while ago too. But Sergio Garcia shot a final round 7 under 63 for a 3-shot win over Dean Burmester.
How old is Sergio Garcia these days?
I think he's 45. So
Doesn't make sense, does it?
it's crazy.
Yeah.
First saw him as a 19-year-old. Remember that?
Yeah, that's right.
Not bad
Jumping
at
around
all.
trees, chasing Tiger down.
In third place, out of nowhere for his best live result ever, was Phil Mickelson.
Oh, you're kidding me.
So, hey, look out for him for the Masters, because he loves Augusta.
Oh, that's right. He's just getting himself tuned up.
Comes into some form.
Yeah, okay.
Anyway.
That's interesting. How old is he? 55.
Oh, he's got to be mid-50s now.
Yeah, he's got to be mid-50s. He won the PGA when he was 51.
Right.
So how long ago was that? It's got to be 3 or 4 tournaments ago.
Yeah, that's very true. Best of the Australians was Lucas Herbert, solo fourth, shot a final around 64. Well done to Lucas. Mark Leishman tied 12th, Cam Smith tied 20th, and Matt Jones tied for 35th. But Ripper did finish third, so they were on the podium at least.
Ripper finished third with those numbers. That's amazing.
Well, I think
They
Herbie
must
helped him.
they
Herbie
must have
certainly
teamed
helped him
well,
in
yeah.
that final round. DP World Tour, the Joburg Open, where Scotland's Callum Hill shot a final round 62, got a really good bounce on 18 actually as it worked
What
out.
happened?
Set up he missed it to the right, but there was a bit of a bank kick down to 5 feet.
Oh, nice.
Rolls it in for a birdie.
Nice.
And he started the day 8 shots back actually of the local favourites, Sean Norris, who was leading, and Jacques Crazefake, who he won a couple of weeks ago in Kenya. But those two guys, I was watching them down the stretch on 17 and 18. Norris, I'm a little concerned about the anchoring, but that's a whole other story. But
It's okay.
You know the other thing they
you're
were
allowed
doing?
to share your concern.
You know the other thing that really annoyed me?
What?
Every putt they had coming in, whether the shorter putts around the hole, tap, 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 tap,
Yeah,
tap,
enough.
tapping everything. The worst
Enough.
of that, you know who the worst of that is? Xander Schauffele.
Yeah.
It's part of his routine now.
Oh, it is. Well, I think that he was heavily criticised when he won the Open Championship. Heavily criticised for tapping down too many spike marks. And what you don't want to have a reputation about doing is tapping down a trail to the hole.
Yeah, that's true. Which I've seen.
When you're tapping
I've
down,
seen that happen.
You've got to randomly do it so it doesn't look like you're just putting the trail on. You've actually got to, do a little tap here and then a tap there and then a tap there. You can't just go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 straight down the line of your putt. Otherwise, you will get that reputation.
Not too obvious, yeah. So anyway, but well done to Scotland's Callum Hill, who won in a playoff against the two South Africans. On the Champions Tour, by the way, the Champions Tour, they must be feeling as though they're overrun by Australasians at the moment.
I typed in my favourites on the weekend, and I reckon I typed in about 13 of them.
Well,
How many?
There were 11 Aussies and a Kiwi, which was Steve
That
Walker,
makes sense.
and the Kiwi won, funnily enough. But tell you who had a great chance is Greg Chalmers. He was leading going into the final round, had the lead on the back nine, but unfortunately just struggled coming home. At one stage, I looked at the leaderboard. It was Chalmers, Pampling, Alka.
Yeah.
I'm thinking the Americans must be hating this right now.
Hating it. I can tell you this, Chalmers was 2 over his back 9. I think Pamps was about even his back 9. And Elka shot 30 on the back 9.
Yes.
He birdied 10 as well.
5 under his last 8.
Yeah, 6 under the last 10.
Yeah, incredible.
So in the stretch to do 6 under in 10 holes gives you an indication of how well he is going at the moment, Steve Elka.
Well, the 2 guys who actually, there was a playoff between Steve Elka and Jason Caron, who actually birdied the final 3 holes to get into the playoff as well.
There you go.
I think Chalmers had an 8-footer on the last birdie to get in, but unfortunately missed it. But Jason Caron is a club pro in some course up in New York somewhere.
You're joking.
No, but he's played his way onto the Champions Tour through winning, divisional state titles and things like that. And then he got into the senior PGA, did well there. So he's doing a bit of an ulker at the moment, this Jason Caron.
Sounds like it.
So well done to him. But rest of the Aussies, obviously, one shot back was Rod Pampling and Greg Chalmers. And then after that, we had a host of Aussies, just too many to name. But there was Cam Percy, Dave Branston, Matt Goggin, Hensby. Brendan Jones is making his first start as well, by the way. First Champions Tour. Look out for him this year. And my buddy, who turns 50 in May, Soren Keldsen.
Oh, yeah.
Because he won Q School. So watch out for Soren when
He's
he gets
6'11", right? How tall is he?
Yeah, might have been 2 foot higher than Soren's, he's probably in 5'6", something like that, I'd imagine.
Yeah,
he's not the tallest guy, but man, can he play. He's really good. Corn Ferry Tour there in Santiago, Chile, where Logan McAllister, 63-64 on the weekend for a one-shot win. The Epsom Tour kicked off.
Did you say 63-64 on the weekend?
Yep.
Wow.
Incredible. The Epsom Tour kicked off, which is the secondary tour for the LPGA. Do they still call it the Epsom? Might be something else now, actually. I've got to look into that.
Yeah. Oh, I know which one you're talking
Symmetra.
about.
It's Epsom. Atlantic Beach, Florida is where they're playing, where Israel's Letitia Beck. There's not too many Israeli golfers, I would think, but she had a good win there, so well done to her. And best of the Aussies was Robin Choi, tied for 13th. More locally, we had the New Zealand PGA at Hastings Golf Club, where Mark thinks it should be a Pro-Am, by the way, Dan, rather than the New Zealand Open.
Yes. Of course it should be.
But a fellow lefty, a New Zealander, Tyler Hodge, had a one-shot win over Kerry Mountcastle, another New Zealander as well. So well done to Tyler on a fantastic win for a bit of a journeyman pro, you could say. Tim Hart also was in there in the mix at the end as well. So well done to Tim on a good result. But lastly, I will say we were very unfortunate last weekend. Obviously, all the weather going up in Queensland. We had the WPGA Championship cancelled at Sanctuary Cove. So hearts go out to everyone up there in Queensland. And thank you to all the people who helped support all the women pros up there to get them to the next event, because there was a lot going on back and forth, all these players coming down, flying in. It can be a crazy show at times around a tour event. So thanks to all the local communities for
so
helping.
much money spent on a lot of these players. I mean, they're not LPGA Tour stars. They are secondary tour players to come all the way to Australia. It was just brilliant what the WPGA did for all of those girls. So well done to everybody.
Indeed. That's this week's Ping Global Results.
Well, that is the Ping Global Results, because Ping will help you play your best. And now it's time for the masterclass for the Watch My Numbers app, Google Play or the App Store. It is a class above in the world of golf apps.
Golf has many ways of measuring ability and performance. But at the end of the day, it's all about the numbers. And that's where Watch My Numbers can really help.
So, we'll listen to Shane send in a little note for us here at Talk Birdie To Me about beating the yips. It's in his head. He's got the heebie-jeebies. It's difficult. This new claw grip works very well. It works very well for so many people. Come in a little bit closer. Left hand goes on, or the top hand goes on exactly the same. And it's almost like you just got the fingers there and the thumb tucks in behind. That works really well. But if you use the claw like you use your right hand normally, those yips won't go away, because the yip is in the bottom hand. I saw Justin Rose do something brilliant. It's really, really clever. Because when you want to putt, you don't want hands in the game. You want it all to be arms and also your shoulders. And what Justin Rose does, he pulls on his shirt, locks in that pull, and then holds the shirt in place. And that forces you to use your shoulders. So you can do this using the claw, no right hand at all, and you can use it doing an ordinary grip as well, just with the right hand on nice and light. That's the way I do it. So pull that armpit of your shirt, lock it in, that forces you to be more shoulders with a very light hand. So I make sure it goes in. Maybe the yips are back.
Okay, not much of a putt there. Now, apologies for the audio. We'll try and fix that up next week, but that is my fault. The lapel mic just popping a little bit there. Now, the masterclasses these days are very much built for YouTube. Now, what I was talking about then with Justin Rose. Now, again, get Justin Rose up ready to go very soon. But if you just put your left arm up and pull the armpit and then put the left arm down, that is what I'm talking about when I'm locking the shirt.
I like that.
And what it does, it gives you an amazing feel. I don't know why this would be, Nick, but you know, you can keep your left arm close to your side and putt, but it doesn't work nearly as well as when you lock in the shirt. But I don't know, it doesn't make sense. But it is remarkable. And I always think the yip in putting comes from that bottom hand.
Yep.
That is my belief. So if you're going to try and do something totally different, which sports psychologists believe you need to do when you have got to the stage of no return of yipping. So if you're at that point, then I think instead of becoming a right-sided putter, if you're a right-hander, you become a left-sided putter. And when you pull the armpit underneath your shirt, the shirt's armpit, and lock it in, you do become a left-sided putter. And I think that's a very clever way of doing it. Now, I noticed this because I saw Justin Rose putting. So put this up. And Justin Rose, this is now part of his routine, Nick. I want you to watch it. Here he goes, gets up, pulls on the shirt, tucks it underneath, and just watch how beautifully that triangle of his shoulders and his arms, everything rotates together. He's using the claw grip there. Everything rotates together. He was never going to miss that putt. I think it's a very good thing. And here's the other bit. Even if you don't have the yips, I think it's a great tool to do your practice putting with. It's a really good training aid to actually pull the armpit, get the left arm in, because it does make you use your shoulders a hell of a lot more, an awful lot more.
Yeah, I mean, I do a full swing drill. I put a wood cover under my lead arm.
Yeah.
Similar sort of thing, just trying to keep my lead arm close to my chest on the way back. So that's the putting version of it in a way.
Well, if you're struggling with actually, you know, some people, some teachers do have the triangle on the way back in the full swing as well. That's a perfect drill. If you're actually hitting shot, do you let the wood cover go at the top, or do you have it on the whole way?
I keep it in, and then after I hit the ball, it drops out as I hit it. So,
okie doke. Well, I think that's about it. That's business today.
All right.
Good to see you. Thanks so much, Stan. And folks, we'll see you next time.
And that's been Talk Birdie To Me, Australia's most popular golf podcast, with Nick O'Hearn and Mark Allen, coming from our studio at Titleist and FootJoy headquarters. As everyone knows, Titleist is the #1 ball in golf, and FootJoy, the #1 shoe and glove in golf. Wherever you get your podcasts, make sure to subscribe, maybe leave a review, and we'd love you to share the pod with a friend who loves their golf. Huge thanks to our fantastic partners. Ping, like they do for Nick O'Hearn, will help you play your best. You can see your local golf shop or professional for a Ping Club fitting. The Golf Clearance Outlet always beat everyone's prices. Visit golfclearanceoutlet.com.au for your nearest store. Watch My Numbers is the most powerful data-based golf app in the world. You can download from the App Store or Google Play. And better, they've got the fastest and easiest betting app in Australia. Download from the App Stores today. Now that's better. Keep in mind, what are you really gambling with? But for now, from our studio at Titleist and FootJoy headquarters, thanks for being a part of the show. We'll see you next time.